Hi there, this is Karen McGowan, and I am going to be your art instructor for Creative Use Art Lesson Crates. Welcome to the Wayne Tybald lesson. Wayne Tybald is still alive. He's an American artist, and he was very famous, or is still famous, for his paintings of everyday objects such as pies, paint cans, ice cream cones, lipstick, hot dogs. So he did a variety of foods and well-known objects, but he also did some landscapes and figure artwork. But more than anything, he's known for his almost display kind of art. It's almost as if you're looking in on a bakery window, or if you have ordered ice cream and they've got it all lined up ready to be handed out. So it's just a really cool take that he used for his art. We have some supplies you're going to need. You need a water source. Any kind of a water source will do. I use buckets, I've used wine glasses, bowls, whatever works. None of the art supplies that we're using today will stain, so you don't have to worry about an apron or a smock or dirty clothing. You will need a paintbrush. Paintbrush came with your Starry Night packet. You're going to need a pencil and a napkin, and you will also need your pencils. Now these pencils are not ordinary pencils. They are watercolor pencils, which means they can be used individually as a pencil color, but they can also be a watercolor by just adding some water to it. They're really cool medium. I do enjoy using them. And because his artwork tends to be more on the pastel side, I felt that watercolor is a really good medium to use for this. And then you're also going to need your paper. Now you'll notice that your paper is very thick and it's got a texture to it. It is watercolor paper. It is quality paper. And the reason you need quality paper is simply because you're going to be wetting it. And you may wet it over and over and over again. So you want to be able to have that paper stand up to all of the water. All right, you guys, so I'm going to get ready and get set, and we're going to create. So I've cleared away my desk, and all I have is a pencil and I have a piece of paper. Now you want to keep a couple of things in mind when you're creating this. First of all, when you create and you use a pencil to do so, you want to sketch, not draw. Now what's the difference? Sketching is super softly. You want feather touch. That way if you mess up, you can erase. If you draw, that's pressing hard. If you draw on this kind of paper, it's going to leave an indent. You can literally take your fingernail and indent the paper. We don't want that to happen. So we want to draw super softly with our pencil so that in the end, the pencil colors will dilute over the pencil color, the regular pencil color of graphite. So we're going to do just a simple cake. And what we want to do, I'm going to angle it just a touch so I can get to my angle. We're going to draw our oval very, very, very softly because we are going to be erasing. So you have our oval nice and skinny. Make sure that your oval does not come to points. You want to make it nice and rounded, just thin. Almost the shape of a hot dog, a tad bit, little bit bigger, a little fatter. Then we're going to do two parallel lines coming straight down off of both edges. Now, you're going to notice it ends right there. I'm going to have my line come straight down from there. It ends right here, line straight down. And then I'm going to turn my paper around because I want to echo the same arch. And it's easier for your hand to go that direction than that direction. So I'm going to pretend I do that one. So I'm going to come down and do it here. All right. So then I can turn it back around, and I've made kind of a fat cylinder. I'm going to erase my overlines because I don't need these extending out. Let's see if you can see a little bit better. And now we're going to add a plate. This plate needs to start behind the cake, and it needs to end in the same spot on the other side. So we're going to loop around and get to the same spot. But make sure that you don't loop around unevenly, or it's going to be a wonky plate. It's okay if you have a wonky plate. It's your piece of art. But if you're going for a more realistic look, you're going to want to just keep it nice and oval. Take your time. If your plate goes off the page, it is okay. All right. Now, because it's a plate, it's going to have a little bit of an edge. So I want to just go over my line again, but then I'm going to start swinging out. I'm going to swing it out. I'm going to draw this line coming all the way around. Eventually it's going to meet back up. Okay. And back here, let's just give it a little indent. Finally, we want to figure out about where the halfway point is. Give us a little bit of a mark to guide us, and draw the bottom of the cake stand. Now, whether you have a lot of room for a cake stand or a little room, it does not matter. This is your art. Now, that would be cute and everything if we were drawing a top hat, but we're not drawing a top hat. We're going to turn this into a piece of cake. So let's draw a dot in the middle of the top of your cake. And from that dot, I'm going to V it out. I want to draw a straight line down, then a straight line down. So it's almost like a little house. And you see this little V here? Let's do it again here. So now I've almost got a ribbon. And to really make this look like it's a piece of cake that has been taken out of the cakes, you're going to connect your two dots. Let's go ahead and draw in our icing, which is just simply doubling these two inside lines. Now you can erase this line that crosses only inside your chunk that was taken out. And this is a piece of oh wait, one more. Erase this one down here. This is a piece of cake with a piece taken out. If you want to make it a two-layer cake, you're going to draw a layer in the center, but you want to make sure your lines are the same direction. And layers are a little bit on the curvy side. And there you go. Now's your chance to decorate your cake. You can do it however you want to. I think what I'm going to do is maybe give it a little bit of an icing edge, which means I'm going to lighten up my bottom line. And I'm going to give it little swirlies. And I'm going to double them on both sides. On the top, I might just go nice and simple. Keep my edge. Keep my back edge. But I think at the top I might want a little bit of a little rosette. So I'm going to zoom in so that you can see. You like my lucky pencil? It's mini. I'm going to come in, I'm going to do a little bit of a leaf and another leaf and a smile. Then from that first corner, I'm going to do wavy, wavy down. This corner, wavy, wavy, intersect. Then I'm going to come up, wavy, wavy down, wavy, wavy, intersect. Now I'm going to erase this very top of my cake because I want my little rosettes to start to join each other. So there's my little icing rosette. Now back it out. And there you go. So now it's time to start filling in our beauty. Now you have your pencil colors, and you can fill this in however you want. But I do want to go over a couple of details with you. So I'm going to remove this piece of paper. I'm going to add, this is just generic paper. It's cardstock, but it's generic. When you use your watercolor pencils, you're going to color in as usual. Whoops. Sorry about that. A little bit of out of focus. Let's find it back again. There it goes. All right. So you would color in like normal, right? Now let me zoom in so you can see this. Okay. Then I can add another color next to it. I could leave it just like this if I wanted to. It would be totally fine. But I don't want to. I want to make this look a little bit more like a watercolor than a pencil color. So that's where my water comes into play. I'm going to dip it into my water, drag against my bucket, and wet it. So you see how you can get a blend. Now it does dry kind of fast. So you can get a pretty blend just by wetting it and dragging it around. But there are a couple things you need to know about colors. These two colors do not mix well. These two colors do not mix well. And these do not mix well. Why don't they mix well? Well, because they are contrasting. If you have a color wheel, and on your color wheel you have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Roy G. Biv. Now, red and yellow and blue are primary colors. You can't make those colors no matter how many times you mix colors. You cannot make red, yellow, or blue. But you can mix them together and get orange, green, and purple. If you mix one primary and the opposite contrasting color, you're going to get brown. So, orange and blue make brown. Don't believe me? Let's take a look. I'm going to zoom in. Blue and orange. You can already see it's kind of ooey. Mix it together. Of course, the blue is kind of overpowering it. See how it's making that nasty baby ew color? Yeah, not a pretty color. Now, depending on your project, you may need that. If you are just using your pencil colors to shade in something, let's say we drew a ball and we want to fill it in. You could still darken these edges, and you can do what's called cross hatching, which means going against the grain of the pencil line that you just made. Cross hatching is like going this direction and then this direction. So you can darken just by cross hatching. You can also darken by using the pressure of your hand. But you can also darken by adding the opposite color on the color wheel. And that will add more of a natural shadow than black. Black is a very dark, unnatural shadow. Depending on what you're working on, it will determine whether or not you're going to want black in the shading, or purple, or yellow, or red, or green, or blue, you know. So, when it comes to watercolors, be very careful about putting these next to each other. Also, if you have a puddle here and a puddle here, and they touch, what happens to your puddle? It becomes one. So, if I color one part with my pencil colors and I wet it, and then I immediately go next to it and start coloring and wet it, those colors can combine, and that may not be a look that you're going for. So let's go ahead and get started. What I want you to do is determine your background color, your cake color, your inside of the cake color. It's all totally up to you. Now, blue is my absolute favorite color, so I think I'm going to do blue for my background. You're going to notice that it fills in weird because it is a textured paper. But once it's completely filled in, you'll be able to wet it and make it blend. Now, I do want to add a little bit of dark around my edging. This is just a personal preference. You do not have to do this. I just like to edge my art. So once that's completed, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to wet it. Be careful where you rub this paint. Don't put water where you don't want the watercolor pencil to go, because it's going to spread. I'm working little bits at a time. I'm not putting the whole brush down in it. I'm just gently dragging my brush around. And there you go. Nice. Huh? Very nice. All right, so I'm going to continue with my background. I want you to pause this video and color in your whole background. And once you have your whole background completed, go ahead and click it back on and we'll get started with the cake. Okay, so my background is completed. Now I'm going to do my cake plate. But I want to do this kind of strategically. You'll notice that my paper's kind of lifting because my outside is wet, the inside's not, so it's wanting to suck up. It'll flatten out while it dries, don't worry. So I have my background is blue, so I'm going to take these out of the running. I don't want a red cake. Other than red velvet cake, I don't think that's a very good thing because red dye tastes yucky. So I'm thinking I might do a yellow cake. And so if I do my yellow cake, the studio cat just came in. If you hear her, whoops. She says hi. She's a stray we found and we can't get her to leave, and we love her anyway, so we've just kind of kept her. So if I do yellow for the inside of my cake, because yellow cake is my favorite, then I need to decide on my filling, and I need to decide on the outer color as well. I'm kind of thinking I might do a pink and green cake with maybe a red rosette on top. How's that sound? You can do whatever colors you would like. It just kind of sounds right to me. So I'm going to take my green and I'm going to do my little bit of green on the inside. And I'll do a little bit of green for my icing. Let me come up here and do my green rosettes. And now I'm going to wet it, because I don't want my pink to blend in with the green. Because remember what I said about the red and the green, they're opposite on the color wheel? Well, red is the main color of pink. So even though pink is not technically red, it does have red in it. And if you put red, any version of red or pink with green, it's not going to be pretty. So I'm going to be gently tapping at my green. And I'm going to get my little bit of icing. And after I do this part, I'm going to take it to blow dry it. Now when you blow dry it, put it on the lowest setting and as far away as possible. You don't want your water to spread. You don't have to blow dry it. You can let it air dry, but whatever you do, don't drag your finger through it, because I did that a little while ago over here. I was able to fix it, but you don't want that to happen. I'm going to go ahead and do my yellow. Actually, I want to add some shadows to my yellow. I'm going to come in with a little bit of orange and darken up my edging where it folds in. Little tip is falling off. A little bit over here and a little bit over here. So now I'm going to barely put any water on my brush, get most of it off, come in here, gently tap at it. Try not to let it mix with the green. If you're really worried about it, dry it before you do this part. And there we go. All right, so we're going to pause this, and I want to go dry it and then come back in just a sec. All right, so I'm back. If I'm going to do a pink and green cake, I want to go ahead and do my stand. And I think what I'm going to do is purple for my stand. So I'm going to take this deep purple, and I'm going to color all of this underneath because it's shadowed. It's the darker part. I'm also going to shadow all along the bottom of my icing. Now I want to kind of drag it out, and as I'm dragging it out, I'm lifting up my touch because I don't want it super duper dark on the edges. And come in here with a nice dark and soften it up as you come out. Softer as you come out. Notice I'm not putting too much effort into filling it in because the watercolor drags it out. Now what I am going to do is up along these edges, I'm going to darken it and darken it, and this one's good. Turn around and darken this. Because that's a kind of a lift of the plate, so it might be a little shadowed. So I have dark, 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 dark. Now I'm going to come in with a little bit of pink. I'm just going to fill it. That pink is going to blend in with the purple and make a really pretty shade, but it's also going to give me some light areas that will contrast nicely with the purple. Okay, drag your brush through your water, come on in and start painting. Watercolor pencils are really, really a neat thing to use. I love watercolor pencils. I honestly don't use them enough because every time I use them I'm like, oh man, I need to use these more. There's so much I could do with this. And then I don't. Yeah, such is the life of an artist. You find something you really like and you just don't focus on it, and then you forget about it, and suddenly you run into it again and you're like, oh man, and then it's a vicious cycle. Then the other problem is art supplies are expensive, especially watercolors. Watercolors will come in, let's see if I can stop stuttering. They'll come in cakes or palettes. If it's a cake, it's similar to like what children get at school. They're in those little containers, but for adults, you can get them in single colors. You don't have to get the whole rainbow pack. And they're just really good quality. But I like the control you get with watercolor pencils. Cakes, you have to be very, very comfortable with watercolor. There you go. It's looking really cute. I really love, well, the Tybald look. If you look at his cakes in the picture, we're pretty much making this little cake right there. It's just a really sweet cake. It's very pastel-y, very simplistic, and that's what we're working with. Let's go ahead and start on our pink cake. I'm going to turn it around just so I don't drag my hand through that purple. And I'm going to start filling. Now I want the lightest part to be here and here, because I'm going to make that where my shine is. When an object is rounded, you're going to have a point where the light hits it, and then everything is going to shadow off of it. So that's what we want to do, is we want to give this rounded look. So we're going to kind of do 3 sections. So we have our middle, that is light, light, middle, and then we got medium, and then on the edging, we're going to go dark. Don't be scared. Put some dark in it. It needs to come into this little area as well. So let's do that again over here. We got our light. Let's do medium. Medium. Dark. Okay, so now up here, dark around the front and work your way to light. Dark around the front and work your way to light. The last thing we're going to want is a little bit of shadow underneath our rosette. Now's your chance if you want to add any additional colors. If you have a darker rose color you want to add, you can. Just in the deep shadows and stuff. Maybe add a little bit of shadowing all along it. But this is just your chance to personalize it. And now we're going to fill. Start with the lightest parts first and work your way out. So dim a light, and now I'm going to start dragging into my darker and my darkest. Medium and dark. Make sure you blend all of the pencil color. Don't leave any undone, because it's going to look funny if you have spots that are not wet. I'm going to come over here, middle, edge, now, if there's something you need to tweak, wait till it's dry and fix it then. You can't erase this, it's done, but you can always add to it if you feel the need. If you want to add polka dots or anything, you can. Just remember, it'll blend. So now let's come in and do our little shadows and drag them out. And this side. The last thing we're going to do is our little rosette. Let's go ahead and add reds and pinks. Red is the bottoms. Oop, it was a little bit wet, so it drug in. The bottoms. The bottoms. And then we're going to pink the rest. Come on in and gently drag it around. Wow. Now if it drags into the other color, take a napkin, tap it. And that is a William Tybald cake. Now you can sign it now, because every artist signs their art. Or you can do the next step, which is a personal preference if you want to or not. You can outline it with a black pen. A lot of artists will outline their artwork that are watercolored to give it more of a cartoony look. But I personally choose not to. I don't like the look of it for my art, but I can't say for all of it, because I have done it and I have enjoyed it, but my personal preference is to leave it just a solid watercolor, especially since we are going for the William Tybald look, or the Wayne Tybald look. He doesn't have outlines, so I'm going to avoid him. But if you want it, go for it. Because remember, there's no wrong way to do art. And you are an artist, and you have the right and the ability to do art in any way that you like, as long as it makes you happy and feel good. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. I look forward to teaching you in the future, and thanks for joining us. Have a great day.